The grand halls of the imperial palace buzzed with whispers and murmurs as yet another rejected suitor stormed out. Princess Eva stood tall near her crystalline throne, her iridescent skin glowing with a faint blue hue that betrayed her annoyance. This marked the 300th rejection in the past standard year alone. Your Highness, her advisor, Master Ray, floated forward on his gravity pad, his tentacles twitching with concern. That was the crown prince of the Nebula Kingdom. His species has mastered dark energy manipulation. Surely he would have made a suitable match. Eva turned her large, silver eyes toward the ancient advisor. He spoke of nothing but his achievements for 2 hours straight. Did you notice he never once asked about our people's needs? The princess moved to the massive window overlooking the capital city of the Stellar Empire. Towering spires of living metal reached toward the three suns, while streams of flying vehicles created rivers of light between them. Her people had built this civilization over 10,000 years, but lately, something felt wrong. Everything felt predictable. Your parents, the Emperor and Empress, are growing concerned. Master Ray continued. You have rejected suitors from all 50 major species in our galaxy. Some possess technological advancement beyond our dreams, others have perfect genetic structures, and many control vast trading networks. Eva watched a group of children playing in the anti-gravity gardens below. They moved in perfectly calculated patterns, just as their parents had, and their grandparents before them. Tell me, Master Ray, when was the last time our empire created something truly new? Not improved or refined, but actually new. The advisor's tentacles froze midwave. I would need to consult the archives. Exactly. Eva turned back to face him. Every suitor who comes here boasts about their species' achievements from thousands of years ago. None of them talk about recent innovations. Don't you find that strange? Before Master Ray could respond, a young messenger burst into the hall, his scales shimmering with excitement. Your Highness, Master Ray, breaking news from the Galactic Alliance. Eva raised an elegant eyebrow. Speak. A new species has been admitted to the Alliance. They call themselves humans. The messenger's voice carried a mix of amusement and disbelief. They've barely mastered faster than light travel, and their civilization is less than 10,000 years old. Master Ray made a dismissive gesture. Barely evolved primitives. They'll need centuries of guidance before they can meaningfully contribute to galactic society. But Eva's interest was piqued. Tell me more about these humans. How did they achieve FTL travel so quickly? The messenger consulted his datapad. That's the strange part, Your Highness. They developed it independently. Most species receive FTL technology from more advanced civilizations, but humans created their own method. It's inefficient and crude, but it works. They created something new. Eva stepped closer, her full attention now on the messenger. What else do we know about them? They're from a planet called Earth. Their history is filled with constant warfare, natural disasters, and near-extinction events. Yet they survived and kept advancing. They're physically weak compared to most species, have no natural defenses, and their lifespans are remarkably short. Eva's eyes lit up with an intensity that made both Master Ray and the messenger take a step back. And yet they reached the stars. How fascinating. She turned to her advisor. Master Ray, I want everything we have on human history, and send word to the Alliance. I wish to meet these humans. Surely you're not considering. Master Ray's voice trailed off in horror. I'm not considering anything yet, Eva replied, but a small smile played on her lips. I simply want to understand how a species can advance so quickly despite such limitations. Don't you find it interesting? As her advisor hurried away to fulfill her request, Eva returned to the window. For the first time in years, she felt something new stirring in her heart. Curiosity. These humans, with their brief lives and constant struggles, had accomplished what took other species millennia. Perhaps they possessed something that the rest of the galaxy had lost long ago. The princess watched as another potential suitor's ship departed from the spaceport. Soon, very soon, she would meet these humans, and perhaps then she would finally understand what her empire was missing. The arrival of the human diplomatic vessel caused quite a stir in the Imperial spaceport. Unlike the sleek, organic ships of advanced civilizations, the human vessel was all sharp angles and metal, practically radiating inefficiency. Jack stepped out wearing what his superiors had assured him was appropriate diplomatic attire, a formal black suit with Earth's planetary emblem. The assembled alien dignitaries couldn't hide their disdain. Some even activated their olfactory filters, though humans had been thoroughly decontaminated before arrival. Jack pretended not to notice, maintaining a diplomatic smile as he walked down the line of officials. "Welcome to the Stellar Empire," Master Ray announced, his tentacles moving in formal patterns. "Though we must admit, we're surprised Earth sent only one representative." "Thank you for having me," Jack replied, bowing slightly. Earth believes in quality over quantity. His attempt at humor fell flat, met with uncomfortable silence. From her elevated position on the greeting platform, Princess Eva studied the human with undisguised fascination. He was shorter than most species present, had no notable physical enhancements, and his skin didn't even change color to match his surroundings. Yet he moved with a confident grace that seemed at odds with his primitive appearance. "Tell us, human," called out Prince Dox of the Crystal Worlds. His crystalline form sparkled with barely concealed mockery. "How does it feel to be among truly advanced beings? Your species must feel like children among gods." The assembled crowd tittered with laughter, but Jack's smile never wavered. "We feel honored to join the galactic community. Though I must say, your crystalline form reminds me of my nephew's science project. He grew some lovely crystals in our kitchen last month." The laughter stopped abruptly. Prince Dox's surface clouded with anger at being compared to a child's experiment. Before he could respond, Princess Eva floated down from her platform, her movement causing all eyes to turn to her. "Ambassador Jack," she said, her voice musical but firm, "walk with me. I have questions about Earth." The crowd parted as Eva led Jack toward the palace gardens. Master Ray followed at a respectful distance, his tentacles twitching nervously. The princess had never shown such immediate interest in any visitor before. "Your Highness," Jack said as they walked, "I'm honored by your attention, but I'm just a junior diplomat. Surely you prefer speaking with our more experienced representatives." Eva's silver eyes studied him intently. "You were chosen for a reason. Tell me, how did you prepare for this mission?" "Well," Jack chuckled, "I read everything available about your species and culture. Then I studied the other major civilizations, their customs, their taboos. When I realized how different our technological levels were, I also learned about historical first contact situations on Earth." "Historical examples?" Eva's interest peaked. "You mean your species has had multiple first contact events among yourselves?" "Yes, between different cultures on Earth. Some went well, others not so much. We learned from both kinds." Eva stopped near a floating garden bed. "You learned from failures. Most species delete records of failure from their histories." "Delete them?" Jack looked genuinely surprised. "But then how do you avoid repeating the same mistakes?" The princess's skin shifted to a deeper blue as she processed this concept. Around them, other aliens watched the exchange with growing unease. A primitive human questioning their ways was not part of the protocol. "Your Highness," Master Ray interrupted, "the welcoming feast awaits. The human can be questioned more thoroughly during the formal proceedings." Eva nodded, but her eyes remained fixed on Jack. "Yes, the feast. Ambassador, you'll sit at my table. I want to hear more about these historical lessons of yours." As they walked toward the feast hall, whispers erupted among the watching dignitaries. Princess Eva, who had rejected the most powerful beings in the galaxy, was showing unprecedented interest in a human, a member of a species that had barely mastered space travel. Prince Dox's crystalline form vibrated with indignation. "This is an insult to all advanced species. What could she possibly see in such a primitive being?" But Eva wasn't listening to the murmurs. For the first time in centuries, she was hearing something new, something different, and she wanted to hear more. Over the next week, strange incidents kept occurring around Ambassador Jack. First, his room's environmental controls suddenly malfunctioned, switching between freezing cold and sweltering heat. Instead of complaining, he simply adapted, using sheets as makeshift insulation when cold and sleeping on the balcony when hot. Princess Eva watched through the palace's monitoring systems, her skin rippling with interest. "Most fascinating," she murmured. Any other species would have demanded immediate repairs or special accommodation. The next day, Jack's food synthesizer produced only inedible combinations. He responded by trading some earth coffee, which he brought as diplomatic gifts, with the kitchen staff for their personal meals. By the end of the day, he had not only secured food, but also made allies among the service workers. "Your Highness," Master Ray protested, floating anxiously beside Eva's observation station. "These tests are most irregular. The human should be evaluated based on his diplomatic capabilities, not his survival skills." Eva's eyes never left the screens. "Quiet, Ray. I'm conducting an experiment." On the third day, Jack's translator mysteriously failed during a crucial trade negotiation. Instead of withdrawing, he used hand gestures and simple drawings to communicate, eventually securing a better deal than anyone expected. The alien merchants were so amused by his improvised communication that they offered favorable terms just to continue the entertaining exchange. "Remarkable," Eva noted. "He turns disadvantages into advantages." Prince Dox, who had been watching the proceedings with growing alarm, finally confronted Eva in the palace's crystal garden. "This has gone far enough. You rejected my proposal, claiming I lacked innovation, yet you waste time studying this primitive creature." Eva turned to face him, her skin pulsing with annoyance. "Tell me, Prince Dox, what would you do if your translator failed during negotiations?" "That's impossible. Our technology never fails." "But if it did, then I would summon a technical team and postpone the meeting, as protocol dictates." Eva's skin flickered with something like triumph. "Exactly. You can only function within established parameters. The human adapts." The fourth test was more dramatic. During a routine tour of the palace's lower levels, Jack's anti-gravity belt failed, leaving him stranded on a maintenance walkway high above the ground. Instead of panicking, he carefully analyzed his situation, used his belt's power cable as a makeshift rope, and performed a controlled descent to safety. He could have died. Master Ray exclaimed, his tentacles writhing in distress. "But he didn't," Eva replied calmly. "He solved the problem with available resources." The final test came during the Grand Imperial Ball. As Jack entered the ballroom, the gravity shifted randomly, causing chaos among the guests. Most aliens activated their emergency stabilizers or simply left the area. Jack, however, treated it like a game, adjusting his movements to the changing gravity, even managing to dance gracefully through the fluctuations. Princess Eva watched as other guests began to imitate his movements, turning a potential disaster into an impromptu celebration. Her skin glowed with a warmth she hadn't felt in centuries. "Your Highness," Jack approached her after the gravity returned to normal, slightly out of breath but smiling. "I couldn't help but notice that all these accidents seemed rather targeted." Eva's skin flickered with surprise. "You knew?" "After the second incident, it was pretty obvious. I'm curious, did I pass whatever test this was?" Before Eva could respond, the Emperor himself appeared, his massive form towering over them. "Daughter, we must discuss your recent behavior. These tests of yours are causing quite a stir among our allies." Eva stood her ground. "Father, have you noticed how many of our guests tried dancing in variable gravity tonight? When was the last time you saw our people attempt something new just for the joy of it?" The Emperor's skin darkened thoughtfully as he looked between his daughter and the human ambassador. Something unprecedented was happening in his court, and for the first time in millennia, he wasn't sure what would happen next. And that, Eva realized, was exactly the point. The Imperial Library was a vast chamber containing the accumulated knowledge of thousands of civilizations. Holographic data streams flowed through the air like rivers of light, while ancient texts floated in stasis fields. In a private study alcove, Princess Eva faced her parents and the High Council. "Explain yourself, daughter." The Emperor's voice resonated through the chamber. "Why have you been conducting these unauthorized experiments on the human ambassador?" Eva waved her hand, activating a series of historical projections. "I spent the last 5 years studying something no one else has bothered to examine: the evolutionary history of every major species in our galaxy." The Empress's skin rippled with concern. "What does this have to do with your unusual interest in humans?" "Everything." Eva brought up an image of Earth. "Look at this planet. In its relatively short history, it has experienced 5 mass extinction events, countless climate shifts, and continuous geological upheaval. Yet life not only survived but thrived." She switched to images of other homeworlds. "Now look at our worlds. Perfect, stable environments. Predictable weather patterns. No natural disasters. No significant changes for millions of years." Master Ray floated forward. "Exactly. Our worlds are superior, evolved beyond such primitive chaos." "No." Eva's skin flashed with intensity. "We're stagnant. Every species in this room evolved in nearly perfect conditions. We never had to adapt, never had to change, never had to think differently to survive." The council members shifted uncomfortably as Eva continued, bringing up more data streams. "Humans evolved on a death world. Their planet actively tried to kill them. They faced predators, diseases, natural disasters, and their own violent nature. And what did they do? They adapted. Again and again and again." "But they're primitive," Prince Dox interjected. "They barely understand quantum mechanics." "Yet they achieved in 10,000 years what took us 100,000, Eva countered. "Look at their history. When faced with problems, they don't just apply existing solutions. They create new ones. Their language has dozens of words for innovation and creativity. Most of our languages don't even have one." The Emperor raised a massive hand. "You conducted your tests to prove this theory?" "Yes. Every challenge I presented to Ambassador Jack was designed to be outside normal parameters. No standard solution would work." Eva's skin glowed with excitement. "And every time, he found a new way. Not because he's special among humans, but because that's how their entire species thinks." She brought up footage from the gravity dance at the ball. "Look what happened. One human showed it was possible to dance in changing gravity, and suddenly our people started trying it too. When was the last time anyone in this palace tried something new just because they could?" The council chamber fell silent. The Empress's skin had taken on a thoughtful hue. "You believe humans could teach us to think differently. I believe we need them to." Eva's voice softened. "Our empire hasn't produced a truly new invention in over 3 centuries. We improve existing technology, yes, but we haven't created anything original. We're so advanced that we've forgotten how to advance." Jack chose that moment to enter the library, stopping short when he saw the assembled council. "I apologize for interrupting. I was told I could find historical records here." Eva's skin brightened. "Perfect timing. Ambassador, tell them, how many times has your species nearly gone extinct?" "Well," Jack thought for a moment, "globally, at least 6 times, but we've had countless local disasters that forced us to adapt or die. It's kind of our thing, surviving when we shouldn't." The Emperor studied Jack with new interest. "And you view this as positive?" "Of course," Jack smiled. "Every crisis is an opportunity to learn, to grow, to find new solutions. Without challenges, we'd still be living in caves." Eva turned to her parents, her skin pulsing with determination. "That's what our empire needs. Not perfect stability, but the ability to face change and grow stronger from it. Humans don't just survive chaos. They thrive on it. They turn problems into possibilities. The council members looked at each other, their skin colors shifting in complex patterns as they processed this radical idea. For the first time in centuries, the stellar empire faced a truly new concept. And in that moment, Eva knew her plan was working. The announcement came during the Grand Assembly of Worlds. Every major species had representatives present in the imperial throne room, their varied forms creating a living tapestry of galactic diversity. The air was thick with tension as Princess Eva took the central platform. "I have chosen my consort." Eva's voice carried clearly across the vast chamber. Her next words sent shockwaves through the assembly. "I choose Ambassador Jack of Earth." The reaction was immediate and chaotic. Prince Dox's crystalline form shattered and reformed in shock. The delegation from the gas giants released clouds of distress pheromones. Several anti-gravity platforms crashed as their operators lost concentration. "Impossible," shouted the ambassador of the Silicon Collective. "Humans are barely out of their stone age." Eva raised her hand, commanding silence. "Before you protest further, let me show you something." She activated the chamber's holographic system. "This is Earth's historical record of the last 100 years. Images filled the air. Humans going from primitive flight to space travel, from basic computers to artificial intelligence, from simple medicines to genetic engineering. Now here's our empire's progress in the last 100 years." The next set of images showed only minor variations of existing technologies. "Your point," demanded a representative from the energy beings, their form flickering with annoyance. "My point is that while we've been perfecting the same technologies for centuries, humans have been continuously inventing new ones. They don't just improve, they imagine. They dream. They create." Jack stood quietly at the side, watching as Eva defended her choice. He hadn't asked for this role, but he understood its importance. "This is about more than marriage," Eva continued. "It's about survival. Our empire needs change. We need the human capacity for adaptation and innovation." The Empress floated forward. "Daughter, surely there are more suitable ways to acquire human knowledge." "No," Eva's skin pulsed with conviction. "We don't just need their technology or methods. We need their perspective, their chaos, their ability to see problems as opportunities." She gestured to Jack. "In the short time Ambassador Jack has been here, he's introduced 17 new ways to use our existing technology. Not because he's smarter than us, but because he looks at things differently. Imagine what we could learn from regular interaction with humans." Prince Dox vibrated with rage. "You would dilute the purity of the royal line with primitive genes." Eva's laugh echoed through the chamber. "Primitive. Their genetic code contains more variation than any species here. They can survive radiation levels that would kill most of us. They can heal from injuries that would be fatal to our kind. They can eat foods that would poison us, all because they evolved facing constant challenges." The Emperor raised his massive form. "The princess speaks truth. I have reviewed her research. Our empire has grown too comfortable, too predictable. We choose safety over growth, stability over progress. But they're so young," protested Master Ray. "Their civilization is barely 10,000 years old." "Exactly," Eva's skin glowed brighter. "And look how far they've come. While we spent 10,000 years refining what we already had, they went from stone tools to starships. They make mistakes, yes, but they learn from them. They fall, but they get back up and try something new." She turned to face Jack. "I choose you not just as a consort, but as a symbol of what our empire needs to become. Will you accept?" Jack stepped forward, his diplomatic training warring with his honest nature. He chose honesty. "Your Highness, I accept, but I have one condition." The assembly murmured in shock. No one had ever dared place conditions on royal marriage. "Name it," Eva said, her skin showing amusement rather than offense. "This has to be a true partnership, not just between us, but between our peoples. We have as much to learn from you as you do from us." Eva's skin turned a deep, pleased blue. You see, she addressed the assembly. Even now, he thinks of ways to improve the arrangement. This is why I choose humanity. This is how we'll grow stronger. As the assembly erupted in discussion, Eva knew she had started something that couldn't be stopped. Change was coming to the stellar empire, ready or not. 3 months after the announcement, changes began rippling through the stellar empire in unexpected ways. It started small, in the Imperial Palace kitchens, where staff members were experimenting with manual food preparation after Jack mentioned how humans still cooked by hand. "But why not use the synthesizers?" asked a puzzled food service worker, watching Jack chop vegetables. "Because sometimes accidents lead to discoveries," Jack explained, accidentally dropping some spices into the pot. The resulting dish was unlike anything in the Empire's database, and soon palace workers were deliberately making mistakes to create new flavors. In the technology sector, the impact was more dramatic. During a routine maintenance review, Jack asked a simple question: "Why do your ships only use crystalline power cores?" The chief engineer's skin turned pale blue with confusion. "Because they're the most efficient power source known." "But what if they fail? Wouldn't it make sense to have a backup using different technology?" This simple question led to the first major engineering innovation in the Empire in 3 centuries: hybrid power systems combining multiple energy sources. Princess Eva watched these changes with growing satisfaction. In her private chambers, she reviewed reports of similar disruptions across the Empire. "Your Highness," Master Ray entered, his tentacles twitching anxiously. "The Educational Council is in uproar. Students are asking questions that aren't in the approved curriculum." Eva's skin rippled with pleasure. "Excellent. What kind of questions?" "Terrible ones. Like, why do we do things this way? And what if we tried something different?" "It's chaos." "It's growth," Eva corrected. She brought up a holographic display showing innovation metrics across the Empire. The graph, flat for centuries, now showed an upward spike. The changes weren't always smooth. In the diplomatic quarter, a crisis erupted when a young official suggested changing the 1,000-year-old greeting protocols. "But humans shake hands," the official argued. "Why can't we incorporate other greeting styles?" The resulting debate lasted weeks, but eventually the diplomatic corps adopted a flexible system allowing for cultural variations. Jack found himself at the center of many of these discussions, not because he had the answers, but because he asked questions nobody had thought to ask in millennia. "Your approach to problem-solving is infectious," Eva told him one evening as they watched the 3 suns set. "Our people are starting to think differently." "They're starting to think for themselves," Jack corrected. "All I do is ask why and what if." The biggest challenge came from the conservative faction of the imperial court. Prince Dox led a formal protest, claiming that these changes threaten the empire's stability. "Look at this chaos," he proclaimed before the High Council. "People questioning traditions, experimenting with untested ideas, taking unnecessary risks." Eva stepped forward, her skin glowing with intensity. "Show them the defense system test results." The holographic display revealed something remarkable. The Empire's military units that had adopted human-inspired flexible thinking and backup systems had performed 40% better in crisis simulations. "This isn't chaos," Eva declared. "This is evolution. For too long, we've confused stability with stagnation. True stability comes from being able to adapt to change, not from avoiding it." The Emperor, who had been quietly observing these developments, finally spoke. "My daughter is right. I've watched our people come alive these past months. They're thinking, creating, growing. When was the last time you saw children playing with homemade toys instead of approved educational devices?" The council chamber fell silent as images appeared of young aliens inventing new games, creating art in unexpected ways, and asking questions that had no pre-programmed answers. "This is just the beginning," Eva said softly. "Humans didn't just survive because they were adaptable. They survived because they never stopped wondering what else was possible." As if to prove her point, a young palace worker burst into the chamber. a serious breach of protocol that would have been unthinkable months ago. Your Majesties, we've discovered something amazing. When you combine our biotechnology with human musical principles, the revolution wasn't just changing the Empire's technology or methods. It was changing its soul, awakening a long-dormant spirit of curiosity and creativity. And it was unstoppable. 1 year after Princess Eva's shocking choice, the Imperial Palace hosted a celebration unlike any in the Empire's history. The traditional rigid ceremonies had been replaced with an open festival that mixed customs from Earth and various alien cultures. In the Grand Hall, Eva and Jack stood before their gathered guests. The princess's skin glowed with a complex pattern of colors that reflected both joy and triumph, while Jack wore a suit that combined Earth formal wear with bioluminescent imperial designs. "Look at them all," Eva whispered to Jack, gesturing at the diverse crowd. Children from different species played together, inventing games that combined their unique abilities. Scientists from previously isolated worlds shared theories and debated new possibilities. "Your plan worked better than anyone expected," Jack replied, watching a group of silicon beings teaching human dancers how to move in crystalline forms. The Emperor approached them, his massive form radiating approval. "Daughter, you were right. The Empire needed this change." He gestured to a nearby display showing the latest statistics. In just 1 year, the Empire had registered more patents for new inventions than in the previous century. Educational institutions reported unprecedented levels of student engagement. Even the most conservative worlds were beginning to experiment with new ideas. "But the real success isn't in the numbers," Eva said. "It's in the questions people are asking." She was right. Throughout the celebration, conversations buzzed with "what if" and "why not," phrases that had almost disappeared from imperial languages before the human influence. Prince Dox, who had been one of their strongest opponents, approached with his crystalline form showing unexpected patterns. "I was wrong," he admitted. "I thought humans would weaken us. Instead, they've reminded us of something we lost long ago." The desire to explore and discover, Eva nodded. The understanding that failure is just another step toward success. Across the Empire, changes were becoming permanent. The military had reorganized to encourage initiative and adaptability. Science academies now required students to question existing theories. Even the rigid social structures were becoming more flexible. Master Ray floated up to them, his tentacles moving in excited patterns. "Your Highnesses, you must see this. The children have combined our biotechnology with human art concepts to create something entirely new." They followed him to a side chamber where young aliens and humans had created a living mural that responded to emotions and music. It was beautiful, unpredictable, and impossible by traditional imperial standards. "This is why I chose humanity," Eva announced to the gathered crowd. "Not just Jack, but what humans represent. They taught us that true strength isn't in perfection. It's in the ability to change, to grow, to imagine new possibilities." Jack squeezed her hand gently. "And you taught us that advanced technology doesn't have to mean losing creativity. Some of our scientists are still trying to understand how your biotechnology works." "That's the point." Eva's skin pulsed with emphasis. "We all have something to teach and something to learn. The future isn't about one species leading and others following. It's about combining our strengths." The Empress joined them, her form shifting with maternal pride. "The old ones worried that mixing with humans would weaken our bloodline. Instead, it has strengthened our entire civilization." As if to prove her point, a group of young officials presented their latest project, a new type of space vessel that combined human-style redundancy systems with imperial biotechnology. It was less efficient than traditional designs, but far more adaptable to unexpected situations. "We used to think we were teaching humans how to join galactic civilization," Prince Dox observed. "Instead, they taught us how to live again." Eva smiled, her skin glowing with all the colors of satisfaction. "That's the secret I discovered while studying Earth's history." Humans never stopped evolving because they never stopped facing challenges. Now they'd helped us remember how to do the same. As the celebration continued around them, Eva and Jack watched their people, humans and aliens alike, sharing ideas, making mistakes, trying again, and creating something new with each attempt. The stellar empire had awakened from its long slumber of perfection, and the galaxy would never be the same.